I think cloaks should be more of a thing again, like, I don't know. Happy Halloween! Hello and welcome back to Cuckoo for Books. My name is Salva and today I'm going to be doing a what books you should read for the Halloween season video. I'm particularly excited about this Halloween weekend because I don't know, the fates have aligned to give most, I believe if not all, companies and schools a very long weekend starting from November 1st, so you have all of Halloween weekend to try to read these books and get into the spooky mood. Of course, this would not be a Halloween video if I didn't at least try to dress up for it. I am going as Red Riding Hood, which was my costume from last year, or one of my backup costumes from last year. Sometimes if I'm feeling it during Halloween, I have more than one costume. So last year I went as Eliza Schuyler from Hamilton, and then I realized, what am I going to do in a gown, a floral? I can't have fun. I'm gonna sweat buckets. So I ran back upstairs and I was like, I've got a red cloak, and Red Riding Hood was born. And that means I've also got a basket. But instead of food for grandma, it's books for you guys! So I narrowed this down to 5 scary horror novels. So the first book on my list would be The Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall by Katie Allender. I did a book review of this a really long time ago, and one of the most memorable things about it is I did the whole review not knowing I had lipstick on my teeth. Of course, it turns out to be one of my most highly viewed videos. Whether or not it's because of the lipstick on my teeth, I don't know. Katie Allender, I've mentioned her many a time on this channel. She is one of my auto-buy authors, aka whatever she comes out with usually catches my eye, usually is a good book. She's very consistent. The Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall is one of my favorite, if not my most favorite novel of hers. It's about a girl named Delia whose family moves her into an asylum, an abandoned asylum, but for some reason or other they've decided to make this new asylum their home. I think it's either because they're renovating it or they want to turn it around, or it was deeded to them. They're like, why not? Let's live in a haunted asylum, because why not? Obviously ghosts happen. I won't give too much away, but it's one of the most excellent examples of YA horror, in my opinion. She handles the jump scares, as it were, very well, and at the same time there's an actual story to it. And personally, I am a sucker for any story, movie or novel or video game or documentary or podcast set in an asylum. I don't know why it calls out to me, especially this being like, oh, it was an asylum back in the 20th century for troubled girls. Like, that just really caught my attention. If I had to rate it out of 1 to 5 ghosts being like the scale for scariness, this should be like a 4, a 3.5 to a 4. Just the right amount of horror, but not that it'll keep you up all night. Just the right amount, just a smidgen of it. The next book I want to recommend for Halloween would be Slasher Girls and Monster Boys. This is an anthology. Lots of different authors contributed to this. This is the first anthology I've ever finished, and I say that as someone who buys anthologies, thinks she's gonna finish them, never does. They're all based on either a movie or a song or a TV show or another book. So for example, the first book in the series, or in the anthology, is based off of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, the film The Birds. They're not retellings. It's not a retelling of The Birds. It's just the author draws inspiration from another piece of work or piece of media and then makes their own story based on that inspiration. I would give it a 2 out of 5 ghosts. It's not that scary. It's really more of eerie storytelling versus jump scares and gore and violence. The next book I have to recommend is 10 by Gretchen McNeil. Like The Dead Girls of Hysteria Hall, I did a review of this way back. I get a lot of comments on that video to this day asking me to tell them the whole story because they have to do a book report on it, to which I say, no, look how thin it is. Read it yourself, children. This is a retelling of Agatha Christie's And Then There Was None. These teenagers go to an island to party it up, then something or someone starts picking them off one by one. There is a plot element to it that makes it scary. So I'm not gonna give what the spoiler is away, but that spoiler causes me to rate 10 by Gretchen McNeil a 5 out of 5 ghosts. After it, I was like, hey mom, can I chill in your room before bed and maybe accidentally fall asleep here because I don't want to sleep in my own room? It was that kind of book. Second to the last book would be The Merciless by Danielle Vega. This is a pretty popular YA book, I would say. If you've seen it in bookstores, it's hot pink and it's got a pentagram on it. And this one I would rate perhaps 4 out of 5 ghosts. There's not so much jump scares and ghosts and supernatural entities. You don't get scared by those as much as you get scared by how evil humans can be. It's a story about a bunch of mean girls who's like, hey, I think that new loser girl is possessed. We should perform an exorcism on her. The whole book takes place within 3 days, and a good chunk of the book takes place during the exorcism itself. It freaks you out just because you're like, how can teenage girls be that cruel? I would give it a 4 out of 5 ghosts. I remember reading it and just like checking back and forth, like, how could a person be this evil? And that's what shakes you to your core. I don't have it because it's the one book that I lend out. Oh, you like scary things? Here, have it. So I've actually lent it out, and that is why it is not with me right now, and I was not able to ask for it back before I filmed this video. The last book I have for this is 7 out of 5 ghosts. This book messed me up, and I'm glad I don't have it in my house anymore. I am scared of this book, like physically scared. When I see it in the bookstore, I walk away. I'll give it a wide berth. If I see other books by this author, I'm like, nope, walk in the other way. Like, that's how much this book has terrified me, and it is The Dead House by Dawn Kurtagik. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but Dawn K, who have scared me crapless. So it's basically a story set in a boarding school. There's this girl who was accused of arson, and she says this other person did it. That person is actually herself. She suffers from dissociative identity disorder. There are supernatural factors towards the end. The book, it sort of plays out like a found footage film. You see notes from her alter personality, camera footage, or text messages. Some parts are written in narrative form. It doesn't sound that scary, right? Like dissociative identity disorder. Okay, cool, so it's a psychological. No, it's not. It's not a psychology thing. It's creepy and it gets under your skin. That's the scariest part, I think. If you ask me right now, there's no one thing about the book that will cause me to say, yes, that part, that's what caused it to get under my skin. I don't know why it got under my skin. After reading that book, I kid you not, I was in a book slump for maybe 3 to 4 months. It messed me up that much that I was like, I don't want to read another book. I'm too scared. I gave the book away. That's why it's not with me now, because I was lending out stuff. I'm like, okay, you like horror. Ah, I know. Here, borrow this book. Actually, don't give it back. I don't care what you do with it. Keep it forever. Lend it to other people. I don't want it in my house anymore. It scared me that bad, which probably means out of all the books I've recommended so far today, y'all are probably gonna want to check it out. Honest to God, talking about it now is giving me war flashbacks. Like, I'm having some sort of traumatic experience reliving the book. It's scaring me right now, which means I better stop talking about it lest I scare myself tonight. And that about does it for my what should you read during this Halloween season book review. If you have other recommendations, do leave them in the comments below. I'd love to see what other books I could read to get myself all scared. You can follow me on my other bookish adventures on Twitter and Instagram, both at Cuckoo for Books. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.